again with a different guest this time. I'm here with Mitchell, who may be familiar to you because he's been on our show a few times already. But for those of you who don't know him, Mitchell, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself again?
Yeah, my name is Mitchell, and I used to be a PM, APM at LinkedIn, and now I work with Steven with the Exponent team as a fellow, pushing out contents, coaching awesome clients, and then anything else that I can get my hands on. And it's been a wonderful experience, and I'm excited for the mock today.
Cool. Yeah, so as all the viewers know, we're going to do a live product management mock interview. How this kind of works is that I ask a question, Mitchell will answer the question, we'll do feedback at the end. But as you know, Exponent, you can find more about Exponent at tryexponent.com, exponent.com. So the question we're going to do today with Mitchell, so the question is, it's a product design question. And so product design questions involve a lot of creativity, kind of like brainstorming and discussion of pain points. The question we're going to do today is, how would you design a product to solve pain points for working parents?
Hmm. Hmm.
And so, Mitchell, whenever you're ready, we can go ahead and start.
Yeah, cool. I'm just gonna take like 30 seconds to think a little bit about this. And for the sake of the exercise, can I assume that we're not like at a big company like Google, but rather an early stage pre-growth startup working to just create a product for the segment?
Yep. Yeah. Let's assume we're kind of de novo thinking of how we,
Yeah.
brainstorm some of this stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, and then I'm gonna do a little more segmentation with working parents. But before I do that, do you have any specific target demographics in mind, or if not, I can do a little bit of digging there in the segmentation.
Let's do a little bit of digging, but not spend too much time on it. Yeah.
Cool. So I think to segment the working parents, it's already pretty specific, but I can think of like segmenting the parents themselves where they are in the stages. But I think rather than that, because parental problems, I think it's just universal across different types of parents. And I think it could be more interesting to segment based on how old their kids are. So it's significantly different to parent for like a firstborn to a 5-year-old versus preschool to elementary and middle and high school. And of the segments, I think I want to go after the firstborn to 5-year-old, as it is probably the most time consuming. Of course, I've never been a parent myself, and it also involves a lot of first time parents who are having the kids for the first time. And I'm assuming the pain points for them are the most drastic. How does that sound to you?
Sounds good. Yep.
Yeah. And then I'll probably take a little bit of seconds to do pain points brainstorming, and give me 30 seconds, please. And
cool.
Cool. So the pain points that I've brainstormed are first, as especially first-time parents, I think, or parents of firstborn to really young children. I think the biggest pain point, one of the biggest pain points, is thinking about what is good for my child, especially for first-time parents. What should I buy for milk to all the baby products you need, and even daycare and schools to send your kids to. There's so many options out there, and you care a lot about your kids, and you don't want to mess up whatever decision you're making with what you give to your kids. So I think that's a huge pain point. Another is daycare. Since we are talking about working parents, they don't have much time to spend time with the kids, especially during the day. So solving a pain point around that. And lastly, just parenting is really, really tough, especially you're working both as parents. So mental health of the parents and managing their mind space, I think, could be an interesting space as well. Unless you have a specific pain point in mind, I want to go after the first one, the review and recommendation of baby products to buy, because I think it is the most tangible and also widely expendable. Rather than daycare, we can also include daycare recommendations inside the first pain point here. And it's also not as personalized as mental health of the parents, because every parent is different, every circumstance is different, and solving for that universal pain point could be a hard problem to go after, especially as we brainstorm the first pre-growth product market fit kind of product. How does that sound?
Sounds good. Are we thinking domestic or international for now, just to get a sense from you?
Yeah. So I think it makes sense, and I should have clarified in the beginning, to go after domestic first, so that being United States for us, as products are probably easily accessible. The US based products are more easily accessible and information is easy to gather. But I could totally see after the initial product market fit, we can expand by localization and internationalization after that. So.
Okay, cool. Yeah,
Yeah.
just wanted to clarify.
Mm-hmm. How does it sound? Yeah, we're getting cut off a little bit, but I think we're good for now. Yeah, cool.
No, go ahead. Sorry for getting cut off.
No worries. And review and recommendation of baby products. If you could give me 20 seconds to think about different solutions.
And for those of you watching, this is a live PM mock interview. I'm here with Mitchell. He is a former LinkedIn PM, and he is working on a problem involving designing a product for working parents. And so Mitchell is thinking through how to think about this problem. And also, if you want to check out more of his guidance or coaching, you can always visit tryexponent.com with more PM interview prep. And we love comments and thoughts and stuff like that throughout this. So please do give us likes, hearts, wow faces, comments below. It helps us know that this is worth doing for you. And it is also fun to interact with you throughout this process. So if you have any questions, feel free to ask.
Totally. I brainstormed a few solutions. And first is just really simple and clear: Yelp for baby goods. So whether it's food, medicines, daycare, schools, education materials, just anything or something to do that is fun around places to visit, like a park around. You can have a place that is just a one-stop shop for everything that has to do with baby. So it will just help parents make decisions easier. And I think we can talk about this later if we decide to go after this particular solution. But initially, we can focus on the quality and have like an editorial team to focus on reviewing ourselves, really focusing on quality of the reviews. And eventually, as we gain more user mass, we can crowdsource these reviews just like Yelp did. And so that's a little bit of how we're going to roll this out. Another could be a subscription-based product for baby goods. And I thought of this because babies grow really, really quickly. It won't fit them after like 6 months or a year. So oftentimes it's a lot of waste and people donate stuff. But what if we create a subscription product where it's a mass of parents and we have these rentals of parental goods and baby products that we send it to you, and then after you use it for a year, whatever, your baby grows out of it and you return it, and it's a sustainable way to not create any mess or garbage out of these baby products. And also we can on top of this recommend the products just like Stitch Fix. So we can send goods and personalize it based on your usage and data preferences, and we can add stuff like Stitch Fix and other fashion subscription product where you can just take 5 and return whatever you want to return and keep the ones, and then eventually after your baby grew out of it, you can return everything else. And last solution could be AR or a VR kind of solution where specifically for clothes, you can have your baby try the clothes on, so you have a better time making the decision. So you don't have to buy it and return it later, and then that solves the pain point around just trying it out. So yeah, so just to recap, Yelp for baby goods review site, subscription-based products just like Stitch Fix, where you don't have to buy the stuff, but we send you can return whatever you want to return, and eventually when your baby grows out of it, you can return. So it's like a sustainable way to parent your babies. And lastly, VR and AR-based solution where you can just try the clothes on for the baby before purchasing.
Cool. Those sound like some pretty interesting ideas. Yeah, they're very different range of kind of like level of technology needed. Also, we can abstract that away in terms of deciding how we prioritize that. Like, I'd like to figure out the best product instead of deciding what's most feasible or not feasible. But I'm curious, like, how would you prioritize or think about which of those to invest in moving forward?
So in order to prioritize, I think I would use three pillars qualitatively. So one is just implementation difficulty to implement, and another is overall impact on the parents and the babies, and lastly, just alternatives. Is there anything else on the market? And when I think about it,
go ahead.
Yeah, and when I think about it, review site, subscription product, VRAR, it's in that order, the difficulty to implement. Review site seems like a pure content play in the beginning, and you can crowdsource it easily. Subscription-based product, you need to gain the data to have more accurate recommendation engine. Also, you need a lot of mess of goods, and you need to own the goods. So I think it's going to be a little more harder than a review site, just not only technically, but just to operate it. And lastly, VR and AR, just technically, it's there is a solution, but I haven't seen like a try-it-on AR solution yet that is just really good. So I think the technology, we're getting there, but it's not yet there. So I would say implementation is in that order.
Got it.
And,
okay. And so sorry, just to clarify, like the alternatives that you're considering. So they're can you repeat the criteria and then repeat the answers just so it's clear?
Yeah. So my criteria, the pillars to prioritize were one, difficulty to implement, and second is overall impact on parents and babies, and third is alternatives. And what I just did was using the first pillar on the three different products, and I think it's going to be in order of review site, subscription product, and AR, VR solution in order of easier to implement. Does that make sense?
Got it. Yeah, now you get what you're saying. Yeah, go ahead.
And just the overall impact on parents and babies, VR and AR, for now, I think it's pretty limited to clothes. You can just try it on, and it's just one item. And in my opinion, clothing is important, and babies look cute in cute clothes, but there are a lot more dire decisions to make as a parent, such as food and medicines and education. So I would put that as the lowest impact overall. And subscription products, similarly, we are going to send a lot more stuff than clothes, but similarly, it doesn't help you make the most crucial decisions around babies. So I would say impact-wise, review site is still on top of the other two solutions. And lastly, existing alternatives. AR, VR solution, there isn't one. And I don't think there is a current alternative to any of these solutions that look exactly like how I described it. For review site, you usually Google stuff. Subscription product, you just basically talk to parents that you know. You donate stuff, so there's like a workaround there. And VR, AR, you just buy and replace and return. So all of these don't really have a clear alternative. So I think they are on a similar level in terms of alternatives on the three pillars. So to recap, implementation difficulty, overall impact, and alternatives, I think review site comes on top here when I prioritize these. How does that sound?
Cool. Yeah, it sounds great. And I love the clear framework kind of how you're going about it, and then thinking about, yeah, okay, this is the one that's the most important based on my criteria.
Thank you. And it's interesting because to go into strategy a little bit, and I did this last time as well on our Spotify interview, but here I can imagine also us road mapping and layering each solution on top of another. So we could start with a review site, crowdsource parents, and if there's enough user mass, there are enough parents, we can maybe get the subscription product going because we will have data, we'll have parents who will be willing to donate their stuff. And lastly, VR and AR, try it on the review site, we can have put it on top of these sites as like a nice to have. So I could totally see us going with the review site, easiest to implement, the biggest impact initially, get the mass, build it onto a subscription product, and then if there's a room for it and the technology for it, AR, we can put it like a sprinkle on tops.
Cool. Yeah, I love kind of thinking about how can we expand or move in that direction in a systematic, like go-to-market sort of way.
Mm-hmm.
Cool.
Yeah.
Cool. Let's dig in. I want to hear a little bit more about that one. What it would look like, how that would feel, and sort of like how it would address some of the pain points that you identified earlier.
Yeah. Could you give me like 30 seconds to think about the entry points and how it's going to look like a little bit?
Totally. And if you're watching this is a Exponent PM mock interview. We are here with Mitchell, who has worked at LinkedIn as a product manager. He is answering the question, design a product to improve the pain points around. We love getting likes, reactions, all that kind of stuff, comments, questions. And please do subscribe to our channel on YouTube, as well as our Facebook page, which is facebook.com/tryexponent. And of course, check out our course online at tryexponent.com. Take your time, Mitchell. No need to.
No worries. Thank you. Cool. So for the sake of this exercise and for the time, I'll just first talk about the review set, and I'll keep dig deep on that one only. And just thinking about the solution and the overall flow, when the parents first get on the site and sign up, I could imagine an onboarding flow where we ask things like, are you a first-time parent? How old are your kids? What are their genders? And what is possibly the toughest decision you're making in parenting your children? Keep it simple, and then we can go from there. And I haven't mentioned this yet, which platform is the solution going to be. It's one more thing that I clarified in the beginning. For the sake of the review side, I think we need both a desktop solution as well as mobile solution, because for a review site, usually I found myself on Yelp to writing long-form reviews through my desktop app, but I do my consumption on the mobile app. So I think it makes sense. Maybe you could use technology like React Native, where there's a lighter way to build both the website as well as a mobile product for both operating systems. So I think we need both here. And but if I had to choose, I think mobile first would be what I would do. So onboarding flow, we're gonna be mobile, but also desktop. And how it's gonna look is we are gonna recommend based on a category of baby goods or decisions you have to make. So it's gonna be education, food, medicine, doctors, places to visit, you name it, all these categories that the parents need to make decisions on. And we're gonna collect the data of the toughest decisions to expand the categories. What do we need to work on next? And just like any other review site, after you click a category, we'll show you a ranking of the products and services that are currently on our system. And initially I said to implement this, we will focus on quality reviews that we ourselves edit and publish. But later on, we will add on a feature where parents can come in and then they can review themselves and give ratings, star ratings, and that way we'll be able to scale the content and the platform overall. So yeah, that's overall how I'm imagining the solution to be look like.
Okay, cool. And is there, like, at this point, like, what concerns do you kind of have with that solution? Like, so we've sort of come up with like a template idea of what that looks like, but like, what could go wrong, or like, what are we concerned about with the product launch? Like, what would we want to note?
Yeah. So it goes for any other review site here, but just fake reviews or just malicious reviews that try to fish parents into buying something that they don't want to buy is a huge concern. And especially with babies and kids, you really want to be careful about what you recommend to the parents, because it's gonna determine their lives. It's gonna determine the kids' lives. So that's why initially we want to focus on quality contents that we can control, and I will be very careful to have filters and I guess trust and safety system built on as we build out the crowdsourced review version for this solution.
Cool. Okay, that makes sense. Yeah, so I guess I'm just curious, like, what do we imagine? So we have a sort of a template of how this would look, how this would be laid out. Can we talk a little bit about the product strategy of how we would launch something like this, or like what that would like, how we would get our first customers?
Yeah. Can you give me like 20 seconds to think about this?
Yeah, totally. And after this question, we'll sort of let's like try to wrap it up, and because I know we're running a little over on time on the last one, so we'll try to keep it kind of short. But if there are other topics we want to talk about, we should talk about them too.
Yeah. So when I think about the strategy to roll this out, it makes sense for this to start as a pure content play. So we'll be on social platforms, including YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, you name it. And even parental communities like Winnie, we can go after them. And for those of you who are not aware, Winnie is like a review site and a community review site specific for daycare and a community of parents that is an early stage startup. So we can start with the content play by reaching out to all of these baby products and services and companies and get the reviews, write them out, and then partner with them. So we post on our platform the goods, and that way really cool parental products that are like cute clothes and stuff like that to draw the attention, draw the eyeballs. And another thing we can do here is influencer marketing. There are a lot of parent influencers, so we can utilize them on social platforms as well. And lastly, I can think of referral and bonuses for parents who get onboarded. So if they come in as new users, we can give them a voucher by partnership to try different parental products, and they can also write reviews for us, and that way we can scale the content faster. And and a lot of those referrals and bonuses we can add on top of these, and potentially you can even think about adding like a store feature if you want to go to e-commerce direction. So yeah.
Cool. Cool. I want to are there other topics you want to talk about for this interview, Mitchell, or other pieces you want to add that maybe I know we kind of breezed through it a little quickly. Like, are there other aspects to it that you would like to go into?
So I guess the last thing is metrics and how do we define success in the very beginning. And for me, it comes down to two things, which are just active users and just the amount of contents and reviews we generate. So I'll focus on like how many parents are coming in to look at the stuff that we put on, and how many parents later on are writing reviews themselves, and how do we get them more engaged, and how do we care about the retention so they come back on a daily basis. And for us, initially, it would be an interesting period in the beginning to find the basic rhythm and cadence of this parental user demographics. How often do they come in to like think about these things? And just content and reviews is pretty straightforward as we crowdsource. How do we get more parents to contribute to our platform? And one thing I left out when we are first going to roll this out, even before building anything, I would spend a lot of time just going to playgrounds, talk to parents, go to preschools, and ask parents, how do you make this decision nowadays? And would you use something like our site where we'll put a lot of reviews and products for you? So yeah, that's one more thing that I want to mention before we
Got it. Cool. And yeah, it's always good to talk about the kind of metrics and quantitative analysis part of it too. Like at the end of every product design question, it's good to kind of run through that stuff. Okay, I do want to kick it to feedback, and then we can kind of talk more through it. But before I jump in, Mitchell, any thoughts on how that went for you? Like, highlights, lowlights, etc.
Yeah. So the lowlight for me, I think I jumped a little too hastily into just brainstorming, and that's because this is the space I kind of cheated, because I care a lot about working parents and education baby side. So for me, there was I was kind of tunnel visioning, like I wanted to solve this problem, but I should have asked questions like mobile or desktop, is it international, domestic, just to get a better understanding of where you were thinking, the interviewer's thinking, and get on the same page. So that was a low light for me. But after the initial brainstorm, this is the segment that I care about a lot. So it was very fun just brainstorming and talking through.
Yeah, I think it was clear that you had a lot of passion and thought about it. What I'll kind of go through is, overall, I thought your structure was excellent. Obviously, you've been doing this a while. You kind of know the general structure. You talk through the pain points. You talk through how you prioritize them. You justify the prioritization. at each step of the way, I sort of felt like I was being guided by you, right? Like I felt like I knew where we were going next, why we were going there, etc. And that's a really, really awesome thing to do as an interviewee. Of course, you followed a lot of the product design kind of structure that's posted on our website, tryexponent.com, and all that kind of stuff. So I don't have to go too much through that sort of thing. I also thought you did a really good job of kind of brainstorming innovative out there solutions, and also kind of, so you did a good brainstorm, like kind of moonshot idea thinking, while also showing your practical sense of like, okay, this is how we'd actually go about doing it. I did, I also kind of regret, I pushed you a little bit fast through that. And, I did want to keep it to like about 30 minutes long or so, which we did hit. Typically in an interview, just for the viewers who are watching, like it would be a little bit longer than this. We might go a little bit longer. We might have more back and forth. I might ask more follow-ups. But I also think that it's valuable to kind of see what it would be like if we were cramming it. Because sometimes at the end of an interview, an interviewer is like, okay, fine, we'll do that question. And then it gets crammed at the end, and then you have to go through it pretty quickly. So prioritizing the important pieces, the pieces that are kind of interesting or novel or new are really good. And then, I think in general, it's good to talk through some of these problems. It's also good to acknowledge, especially in a problem like this, I would recommend saying, okay, I'm not a working parent. I would do a lot of user testing. I would do a lot of user research to validate these assumptions that I'm making. So just harkening back, like, we do a lot of these product management interview questions that are like designed for a blind user, designed for a deaf user. And it's like, we're not those people often. And so it's actually always good to just kind of like step out and say like, okay, I don't know this user very well, and I'll actually want to investigate it because I don't want to make assumptions on behalf of the user. So I think that's a really good point. Yeah, and I think also, and this is just a thing that we can always do, but always just bringing it back to the pain points. Like always just being like, okay, this is the problem, this is our vision, and this is why we're trying to do this whole thing. So really hammering in like kind of the vision and throughout that question. It's almost like an essay that has a topic sentence, and you always want to refer back to that topic sentence throughout the interview. Cool. Well, I'll pause there. Any reactions to some of the stuff that I said?
No, thank you for the feedback. Totally agree. I should have mentioned user research. And also, since we kind of push through it really quickly, doing like a recap at the end, going back to and tying it back to the pain point will be really clearly communicating to the interviewer. So yeah, totally agree. And thank you for the feedback.
Cool. Yeah, I thought it was great otherwise. And yeah, I think in general, these mock interviews are meant to be kind of creative and fun and exciting and all that kind of stuff too. I have one question from Slack, and then I want to kind of wrap it and we can kind of end it. So the question I have from Slack is basically like, what are some of the common mistakes that are made in product design interviews? So like, what should I watch out for if I were doing a product design interview?
Yeah, I could take.
I could do my. Mitchell.
Yeah, I guess what I see commonly, and I made the same mistake today, is just jumping in too quickly. So take your time, brainstorm, ask for your time. It's totally fine. Ask a lot of questions to clarify and be on the same page with the interviewer. So that's one thing. And also, people talk, don't listen, and don't check in the middle as well. So make sure you pause, make sure you check in with the interviewer. I think I could have done it more during this session as well. Steven was a little lost, I think, during my prioritization exercise. So you can do that. And I think it'd be a little easier during on-site when you can whiteboard, but always good to check in more and over communicate. And lastly, just the most common questions I get is people say, how can I be more creative under pressure? And one is just taking more time, but also when you brainstorm ideas, brainstorm once. And when you have a list, I always tell my clients before committing to any of them, mention it, but also ask yourself, is this actually unique enough? Is this what somebody's gonna use? Is this feasible? Ask yourself those questions. And if the answer is no, it's totally fine to say that and why that is the case, and do another round of brainstorm that builds on top of those ideas. So I don't know if you guys are familiar with product design framework, the double diamond. So you start broad, you narrow down, and you expand again, and then you finally land on a solution. So I would highly recommend you to take more time and do like multiple brainstorms if needed to land on a solution that you're truly happy with.
Yeah, that was great. I think it's a great answer to that question. I would add, just like to really add to that point, like I think beyond all that kind of stuff, it's also just behavioral. Like a lot of times people freak out about these kinds of questions. Just relax, be confident, be calm. You'll get things wrong throughout it very frequently, or you'll change your direction. And so being comfortable with that is a really important part of the interview as well. So that's just like a table stakes thing. Cool. Well, I do want to wrap here. Mitchell, thank you so much for coming on. It's fun to have people come on. And as for the viewers, just remember, Mitchell is a PM interview coach. If you want coaching from Mitchell or any of the other PM coaches, you can visit tryexponent.com.